Hello, sound check. Check, check. What up, people? How are you doing today? And let's see, I don't want that. Stop. Okay, it's going to make me pick a goal. Super chats. I'll just go for a goal of 1, right? And let's see. I have to put in this Q and A. Okay, did that do it? Start goal. All right. Come on. There we go. Goal created. Woohoo. It's good to have goals, right? Live chat. And I think my chakra is misaligned. I think the green needs to come towards me a smidge, or it's the orange. The orange is out of whack. There. And then the yellow, just ever so slightly. Who's here? Helby. Hello, my dear. How are you? Lovely to see you. Good evening. Good afternoon. How's it going over there in Scotland? And I think you can hear me okay. Can you confirm if you don't mind? Everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, be educational. All my videos are made for YouTube. It's an infotainment platform. Please where we go that way. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notification bell to ring. I'm good, thanks. Hope you're well, fine, sunny here, and yes, hearing you loud and clear. Awesome, even with the braces. And again, hit your like button if you don't mind. It's super helpful. I've got all my fans set up. I've got my brain turned on. Hopefully, now that I said that, I'll jinx it and I'll just go flatline, right? Feel like I'm Donald J. Trump or something. It's his own fault for not knowing what he's saying, because he cannot quiet himself down. If he would just shut up and listen to people, he'd be so much better off, and he wouldn't make such a fool of himself, right? Communication is all about listening. That's what it's all about. I have an entire master's degree to learn that one singular thing is just effing listen, like really hear people. It's the best gift you can give to another person, but it's also a gift that you give to yourself, because you gain knowledge, you gain wisdom. And when you're listening to someone else, you can listen to your own soul, right? Not to get too profound or anything. Let's see. I did my little disclaimer right at the beginning, didn't I? No, now I am brain dead. I think I did. Everything I say, simply my opinion. I did all that. Blah, 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 etc., etc., etc. So I've got some information for you. My goodness. I figured out why Ghislaine is such a psycho. Seriously. Possibly part of what has contributed to her psychoness. I mean, there's no way to explain it, because it's not like a direct cause and effect. But check this out, Helby. You're familiar with Jiz, right? When she was born, back in, what year was it? Let's see, probably about 1961. 2 days prior to her birth, her 15-year-old brother, and she was the youngest of 9, her 15-year-old brother was in a terrible car accident that put him in a coma for the next 6 years. And then he passed away. So when she was 6 years old, her brother passed away, but he got into that fatal accident 2 days before she was born, which I can't imagine what that did to the family. And then kind of growing up in that shadow, who knows? Maybe she felt like she caused it. You know, when we're little kids, our brains do weird things. So for the full first 6 years of her life, her brother the 15-year-old. I wrote down his name and everything, I think. I did write it down. I swear I did. But where? Michael, that's his name. Man, I need to have like a highlighter pen with my notes. That's what I've determined. I'd be doing myself a great service to just grab a highlighter pen and start highlighting so I know where the eyes should go, right? So, for me, my master's degree is not just in mental health and counseling, it's in marriage and family therapy, which it wasn't what I set out to learn. I set out to learn art therapy. But the program that I selected in the San Francisco Bay Area had a dual program that studied marriage and family and child individual counseling. Basically, the position that you have in your family constellation really dictates who you are, and you're going to carry that with you into the world. So, like the only child syndrome, right? Or being the baby. I mean, I'm the baby of the family, so I'm not going to say anything depreciating about the youngest ones in the family. Ghislaine was the youngest one in the family. My husband's the youngest one in the family. And my youngest is the youngest one in the family, right? But yeah, Ghislaine being the youngest of 9, that's a lot of kids. But then to have that one fall into an irreversible coma 2 days before her birth, what a wild way to come into the world. And what's so profound is that by the time you're 6 years old, you are seriously hardwired. Your personality is pretty much set in stone. So yeah, very large family, very, very large family. And, we all know her father was a criminal, a high rolling, big daddy type, kind of another Tony Soprano type. And she doesn't believe that he fell out of his yacht. She believes that he was red-rummed. So that's interesting. And she doesn't believe that little E did that to himself either. She believes that he too is red-rummed. So she would be pretty fearful, I would think, for her own safety, whether she's in prison or out of prison. And that has got to be what's motivating her more than anything else. Like, of course, she wants her freedom. I mean, we all want our freedom, except dear Donnie. Just yesterday, he was mumbling, saying how, people say that I'm a dictator. I'm not a dictator. Freedom, freedom. People want their freedom. And it's just like, dude, freedom, freedom. Yeah, that's like USA. Live free or die. That was the whole purpose of creating this freaking country. Anyway, he's just infuriating. And, as he is definitely declining, his mental health is declining, his physical health is deteriorating. It's crazy to me that he doesn't just take some time for himself to recover the way any normal person would, and delegate who should do what. I mean, I guess it's just not his style, right? He's the kind of person that will just go down fighting, kicking and screaming, which, in all honesty, there's something to be said for that. But yeah, it's pretty sad. It's pretty sickening to try to hide things that are so obvious, because it's not just the physical. It's not just the gimpy leg. It's not just the bruises on the hands. It is pretty much everything. And how do you expect your body to hold up for 79 years when you basically feed garbage? You make yourself like a garbage truck. I mean, it's pretty apropos that the 2 cosplays he did in his campaigning for this second time around was the garbage man and the McDonald's dude, right? I mean, those are his two things basically. But and now he's talking about cosplaying police officer. He said he was going to do that the other night, that he was going to do like a ride along or something, which would be such a safety hazard for the Secret Service. I can't imagine. I don't think he did it, but maybe he did and it just slipped by me. I don't think he did though. Anyway, things that I want to talk about today. Also, to clarify, yesterday when I was talking about his family constellation, he is one of 5 kids, and his oldest sister, Marianne, passed away 2 years ago. She was a Columbia Law School educated federal judge. That's Marianne, oldest child in the family. And then Fred Jr. was the second oldest, and that one is Mary Trump's father. Mary Trump, who has her own YouTube channel, and she's a psychologist. She's great. I really like her channel a lot. So that was Fred Jr. He passed away from a heart attack in 1981. He was the one that became an airline pilot. And his father thought of him as a failure because he wanted him to be a mini me, basically, of his dad. And so next in line after Fred is Elizabeth. No, actually, I think that... yeah, Elizabeth is next in line. She was born in 1942. I think she's a year or... oh, what year was Trump born in? Dang it. At least my thing is working again. My voice to text thing. What year was Donald Trump born in? He was born in 1946. Okay, so the third child in the family, Elizabeth, was born in 1942. She's the only one that's still living at this moment. And then he was born in 1946, June 14th. Remember, he had his 79th birthday party with toy soldiers and all, right? OMG. I think that there's more to be said about Melania's last birthday, too. I'll get into that in a second. Sorry, my eyeball is itching. Not my eyeball, my tear duct. Okay, so Donnie, born in 1946, so he will be 80 next June 14th, for anybody who's keeping track. And that's if he makes it. I mean, it's not looking good. It's not looking pretty, is it? And then Robert is the youngest. He passed away in 2020. He owned a company called Certapath, and the year before he passed away, he got a $33 million government contract. Isn't that interesting? I wanted to read you a little bit about Robert Trump. Let me see what it says here in the AI. I think that's where I had found it. Robert Trump. Robert Trump. I thought this was pretty interesting. Are you ready? This is the AI overview. The cause of unaliving for Robert Trump was never publicly disclosed by the family or the White House. That's interesting in and of itself. The same is true for Harold, is his last name Bornstein, the doctor that passed away 2 days after the insurrection. No one knows what caused his death or where he passed away. Interesting, but we'll stay focused on the brother, Robert Trump. This is the youngest. This is the baby of the family. So in 2020, he would have only been what, like, can't do math. 71. That's what it says here. I cheated. Okay. So it was never publicly disclosed. However, a family friend told the New York Times that he had experienced brain bleeds after a recent fall and was on blood thinners. He passed at New York Presbyterian Hospital in Manhattan at the age of 71. But the other thing that it doesn't say here is that he had a bad fall. And then he was in the hospital with the brain bleed on the blood thinners. He was only 71. So here it does go into a deeper context, but this is also the brother that had been appointed to replace one of the vice presidents, one of the executives of the Taj Mahal, one of Donnie's top corporate executives. And he quit after just a few months because his brother was humiliating him. So what's interesting is Donnie says that Robert was his best friend. The man doesn't seem to me to really have any friends, or the friends that he has, I don't know. A family friend indicated that Robert had been experiencing brain bleeds following a fall and was on blood thinners. President Trump visited his brother in the hospital the day before his death. Well, that's interesting too, just like J.D. Vance visited the Pope the day before his death, right? Seriously. The White House announced his passing but did not release the cause of death. What else does this want to share with us? So these are some of the factors that may have caused it. Brain bleeds after the fall, blood thinners after the fall, serious illness after the fall. 71 years old, passed away on Saturday, August 15th. Very fascinating. I really don't know what to make of that. I just found that today and it immediately raised red flags for me. How about for you, Helby? Are you still here? You said back in 2 minutes, doggy is needing a quick toilet break. Yeah, I know. That's what I was 2 minutes late because doggy toilet breaks. So I'll just drink another swallow of coffee. Yes, just back. So did you hear the part about Donnie's little brother, Robert, falling down when he was 71 in 2020 and then passing away a few months later after having brain bleeds and being on blood thinners? And this was the little brother that he had employed briefly at the Trump Taj Mahal right after the helicopter crash that took out 3 of his top executives. And Robert had the company Certipathex that received a $33 million government contract the year before he passed. That is pretty wild. So I wanted to clarify. Yesterday, I was talking about the interview with Jiz Max and Todd Blanche, Trumpster Fire's lifelong defense attorney. I don't know. He's maybe not lifelong, but long-term defense attorney, personal attorney. And we all know that they released the 3 hours of the interview that she had with Todd Blanche, that was released on Friday before the weekend. People have been dissecting the 3 hours that were released, but that's only a third. There's 9 hours of tape recorded interview, apparently. Also, I was talking about the the little e-files that were released to Congress on Friday. And I think I said 100,000 pages, and I was incorrect. It's only 33,000 pages. That's all. But that's just a fraction of it. So I don't know if it's like over 100,000 pages total. I think it was like 4 terabytes, 3 or 4 terabytes of information. But what they received on Friday was a fraction of the full little e-file. So also some other, let's see, some other clarifications from yesterday. I was talking about Nicole Shahan. Am I getting that right? The RFK running mate that had an affair with Elon Musk. Nicole Shahan. Let's see if that's the right Nicole Shahan. I don't think it is. No, that's a musician. Try this. Nicole Shahan, RFK Jr.'s running mate last year. Nicole Shanahan, Shanahan. That's like Shanann. That's like Shanann Watts. I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway, so she was the running mate and they dropped out in August of 2024. So RFK Jr. is also somebody who's mentioned multiple times in the little e-files. Not surprising. I had this thought today about Trumpster Fire's cabinet members and how he's probably got dirt on all of them, which is probably why they're all so obedient to him, because they know if they misstep, he can throw them under the bus, including Melania. Melania came into the United States under very shady circumstances, and it's a very touchy topic, the connection with her and little E. And there's definitely a connection with her and little E. She's not denying that she may have slept with him before she ever slept with her husband, a year before she even met the man that she married. But that information is from the horse's mouth. That is recorded conversation of little E with Michael Wolff, the biographer for little E and Trumpster Fire. So she's not suing Michael Wolff. She was able to leverage to make him not publish that in his latest book. But, you know, she's only threatened to file the lawsuit against Hunter Biden for repeating the words that Michael Wolff said. But again, these people show their hands, the way they respond to things, the way they act, the way they try to cover up. Why is it such a sensitive issue? It really makes me think that where there's smoke, there's fire. I am highly suspicious that she was underage when she got together with little E. I'm highly suspicious that she was underage when she got together the first time with Donnie. Remember, the first time was on the Lolita Express. What was she doing on the Lolita Express if she wasn't a Lolita? I don't know. But Trumpster Fire started his own modeling agency in, I think, 1998. And then I'll double check that. And then she was definitely the first model that he signed on in 1999. And she may have been able to negotiate that deal because of the information that she has against him. I'm thinking that is the information that she has against him. And the information that he has against her is that she came to this country illegally. And when he's deporting all these people left and right, maybe that's a direct threat to her, like the shot across the bow, as they say, her and her family. Let's see, what was I going to look up? What year was Trump Modeling Management established? 1999. Trump Model Management, later shortened to T Management, was a New York City-based modeling agency founded by Donald Trump as T Models in 1999. Oh, and then it closed down in 2017 after 18 years. That's interesting. Fascinating. I wonder why. 2017. That would have been, so here, March 10th, 2016, CNN, Trump's modeling agency broke immigration laws, attorney says. Let's look at that. DT's modeling agency has profited from the very same visa program that the presidential candidate himself has slammed and appears to have violated federal law in the process, a CNN Money investigation has found. Throughout his campaign, he has loudly opposed the practice of U.S. companies using foreign workers instead of Americans, specifically the highly skilled workers brought to the United States through the controversial H-1B visa program. These are temporary foreign workers imported from abroad for the explicit purpose of substituting for American workers at lower pay. I remain totally committed to eliminating rampant, widespread H-1B abuse, Trumpster Fire said in a statement on his website, though he backtracked on his position during a recent Republican debate. While the visa program is best known for bringing over technology workers like engineer and computer programmers, Trump's own modeling agency has used the program for years, federal data shows. That's because federal law surprisingly lumps in fashion models with these other specialized workers, though it's the only job that doesn't require higher education. Instead, models must have distinguished merit and ability. What kind of distinguished merit and ability? Models. It's just terrible. And now the use of this visa by Trump Model Management, founded by Trump in 1999, is being questioned. Bit my tongue. The agency is currently battling a proposed class action lawsuit filed by Jamaican model Alexia Palmer, who was brought to the country with an H-1B visa. The suit alleges that the agency recruits models with promises of wager that never materialize and defrauds the U.S. government on visa applications. Palmer is currently the only plaintiff, and the suit has not yet been approved for class action. In her case, Palmer says she was paid only a few $1,000s over 3 years, despite being lured with the promise of more than $200,000 in earnings in that same time period. That salary was also what was listed by Trump Modeling Management as part of the visa application. Ms. Palmer will receive compensation of at least $75,000 per year, the agency's president, Corinne Nicholas, said in a letter to immigration officials. She is a model whose services have been in great demand and whose proposed temporary presence in the U.S. has stirred great anticipation by the Trump Model Management and its clientele. Nicholas did not respond to a request for comment. Should I keep reading? Maybe a little bit more. I think this is fascinating. Government data analyzed by Howard University professor Ron Hira shows that since 2008, And this is interesting because a Jamaican model is probably Black, and Howard University is pretty much an all-Black university as far as I know. So Ron Hira shows that since 2008, Trump's agency has successfully brought over 30 foreign models. So he had an agency before. Well, so that was 9 years after it was established. So since 2008, so in about the next 9 years, Trump's agency has successfully brought over around 30 foreign models from countries like Brazil, Latvia, am I saying that right? Latvia, I think, and China, using the H-1B program. Almost half of these applications indicated the same $75,000 annual salary, while others went up as high as $416,000. CNN Money asked a dozen attorneys and other immigration experts to review the facts and documents from the case, and the vast majority said Trump's agency appears to have violated immigration law. I mean, it's pretty much, his company is known for violating immigration law, which is really ironic that he's, Mr. Heavy with immigration. It's always projection and confession, right? It seems pretty clear to me that there was a violation, and a pretty egregious violation, said New York immigration attorney Jeffrey Feinblum. Experts say that the U.S. government requires that full-time H-1B workers like Palmer be paid a high enough wage that they aren't being exploited or displacing American workers, regardless of how much they end up working. Experts say that the firm was required by law to pay the amount stated on Palmer's visa, in this case, $75,000 a year. Even more egregious, they say, was that the Trump agency didn't pay the prevailing wage determined by the U.S. government, which is based on the industry and location. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services confirmed that a sponsoring company must pay the actual wage or the prevailing wage, whichever is higher, meaning it was illegal to pay Palmer below either listed wage. Employer must never pay below the prevailing wage, the agency said in a statement. For Palmer, the prevailing wage acknowledged by Trump agency on the visa application was roughly $45,000 a year, which if you're living in New York City, you're going to starve to death and be homeless. Seriously. Instead, she made less than $30,000 over 3 years. Well, no, I guess if you live in an apartment with 10 other people, you'll manage. Anyway, sorry about that interruption here. Instead, she made less than $30,000 over 3 years from modeling jobs for clients ranging from Condé Nast to Saks Fifth Avenue. Wow, $10,000 a year. $30,000 over 3 years in New York City. That is like pennies. Seriously. And she didn't even get to keep that full amount. It was almost entirely eaten up by taxes, a 20% commission to the Trump agency, administrative fees, and modeling related costs like $75 walking lessons and a $200 dermatology visit. In the end, Palmer netted $4,985 over 3 years, which included cash advances and a $3,880 check, a figure acknowledged by the Trump agency. Yeah, there's a picture of her here, and she is Black. So yeah, I'm just saying that the exploitation of Black and brown people, I think, is even more significant than the same thing occurring with people who have white skin or light colored skin. Terrible. It's unclear whether the U.S. government would look at the earnings she received before or after deductions like commissions and modeling expenses, but either way, experts say she earned far less than the amount required by law. Let's see how much more there is to read. That's kind of a long article. I think I'll stop there. It's not that interesting, is it? Let's see what else I got here. Oh, yes, please. Fascinating. It is. It is. I can pick it back up and read more. One sec. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Meredith Kircher case, too, that I was speaking of yesterday, because there's that new Hulu miniseries, The Twisted Tale of Amanda Knox, because it's all about Amanda Knox, which is awful in and of itself. She's made an entire career literally off of Meredith Kircher's bodily fluid, the red bodily fluid. It's completely insane. And she just won't stop. And I am just so hopeful. I'm so hopeful that this little mini series that she's created, trying to make herself look like Little Miss Innocent, little misunderstood Miss Innocent, I'm hoping that it backfires on her, just like her trying to get the legal charges against her reversed last year, the slander against Patrick, the owner of the bar that she worked at, that she accused him of having unalived her roommate, and said that she saw him there. And it destroyed his life. I think he spent 2 weeks in jail. He lost his business and got a divorce. You know, he was married with a small child. It completely destroyed his life. And she recanted her statement, but he sued her, and the courts upheld the slander conviction last year. But in her trying to get it reversed, it brought more attention to her case. And she's an attention whore, so ultimately that's all she wants is the attention. But I think one of the things I forgot to mention yesterday, I haven't mentioned in a really long time about Amanda Knox, is that the first thing happened back in 2007 was they hired the most expensive PR expert in the Seattle area. So that is how their minds work, and that's how the whole last 18 years have basically how the chips have fallen ever since then. So she's had the best PR expert in the Seattle area, plus CNN has always paid the family's expenses and legal fees so that they could use the story as their cash cow, basically. And I'm going to put a link in the description to True Crime Rocket Science and one of his Amanda Knox videos, because he's written like literally half a dozen books about Meredith Kircher's case. He's gone to, I can never say the name of the town right. I think it's Paraguay, but it might be Perugia. Anyway, forgive me. I'm terrible with stuff like that. And he's gone to the apartment. The villa that they lived in. He's done a ton of research, and he's just done some really solid work. He's done, I don't know how many Amanda Knox videos. I would venture to guess hundreds. And let me correct myself and call them Meredith Kircher videos. And one of the things I think that really triggered Amanda about Meredith, other than just Meredith being kind of soft-spoken and very elegant and classy, is that she also had been selected out of the general public by a band to star in a music video that they did the year before her and Knox crossed paths. And also Meredith had a new boyfriend, which was the guy downstairs, Giacomo. And allegedly Amanda had slept with pretty much everybody she could, every guy she laid eyes on, but allegedly she had also slept with Giacomo. And it seems that Meredith and her had a falling out, and that Meredith was cutting her out socially, like the night before she was red-rummed, Meredith had been going to Halloween parties with her friends, and Amanda wanted to go and was texting her, and she didn't return any of the texts. And it really seems to me, in my opinion, that Amanda's getting together with Rafaela, how do you say his name? Solito, I think is how you say it. I tried to master it today. Rafaela Solito, I think. That she got together with him kind of like as a rebound from having hopped in the sack with Giacomo, and then Giacomo and Meredith striking up a meaningful relationship. So little Miss Amanda had a 6-day meaningful relationship with Rafaela, and now she tries to tout their relationship currently as that they've been good friends ever since their romantic tryst, which is completely untrue. In my estimation, from the information that I've seen coming from Rafaela, is that he regrets ever having met her, that knowing her for 6 days completely destroyed his life. So he said, she said, right? Nuts. Absolutely nuts. True Crime Rocket Science is good at investigating. He is, and he really does a lot of traveling and goes to the locations of the cases that he focuses on heavily, like the Watts case, the Morphew case, the Madeline McCann case. He travels to these places, and it makes a huge difference. He's probably gone to Idaho, to Moscow. It makes a huge difference when you've been to the place and know the place. And I know this because a lot of the places that I talk about in some of these sad stories, a lot of the places I've been to, or I've lived there, or at least I've visited, or I know people there. And when you know the culture of these places, it's phenomenal how much insight that can help you gain. But also when you know like the geographical layout of a place, and this, for instance, is why it was so insane when they tore down the 1122 King Road residence in Moscow before the trial ever happened. It's so important to know the space. I remember back in the Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman trial that the jury went to the Brentwood condominium where they were slaughtered. However, there was no furniture in the condominium at the time. Like, it was on the market and it wasn't even staged. And that too makes a big difference. It's really hard to get a feeling for a place when it's vacant and empty like that. So that was a sad miss in the Nicole Brown Simpson, Ron Goldman quest for justice. Is they should have at least staged the condominium, if nothing else. But they literally could have left her stuff there. I mean, knowing that it was going to go to trial. That was crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, that was so strange why it was demolished. Well, and precisely, Helby, my opinion is that that's because the powers that be did not want people to be able to go into that residence and get a feel for how well sound traveled and how small it was, how unlikely the story of the two surviving witnesses that didn't see anything, that weren't witnesses, that their story just didn't add up. And, in my opinion, the entire Idaho 4 story doesn't add up. Like, I absolutely don't believe that one person went into a house that had half a dozen cars parked outside with a sharp-edged object and took out 4 of the people inhabiting the house and left 2 unscathed. I'm not buying that at all. Not even. But I won't get into that case because like I've shared with you guys, I have not followed that case much for the last year or so. I followed it a lot in the first year. I was hesitant at first. I think the first week or two I was really hesitant because it just seemed, honestly, it seemed like a car that doesn't tell kind of hit. It just smacked of that so profoundly and profusely that I thought any other explanation was pretty ludicrous. And then I kept an open mind and, thought maybe the convicted felon now, who we used to call the criminal defendant, that maybe he could have done it. And maybe he could have. I honestly don't know, but I don't think so. I think too many things in the case don't add up. So, and there's just too much secrecy around too many things. And then now, just yesterday, that was weird during my live to have run across that information that the replacement chief for the Pullman PD, the one who replaced Chief Jenkins, was then replaced last year for domestic violence accusations against him, basically. So that Pullman PD is plagued with problems, and Pullman PD is where Kohberger had interviewed for a paid internship fellowship that it's never been disclosed who got that. He was one of the 4 finalists, and it never has been disclosed what happened after that, except for some weirdo that came into my chat a couple years ago and said, oh yeah, these 2 women are splitting it. And one of them was the sergeant who was holding the fort down with Jenkins. Danielle, what was her name? She got promoted to be the assistant chief. Let's see. Assistant police chief for Washington State University, Danielle. Okay, her last name is Daniels. Dawn Daniels. Okay. She was promoted in August of 2025. Oh, is she the new police chief? No, the incoming, maybe she is. Let's see. Yeah. WSU Police Chief Dawn Daniels to be sworn in Friday. So she is now the new police chief as of 2 weeks ago, August 11th. What day of the week was August 11th? That's so wild. August 15th. So less than 2 weeks ago. 9 days ago, she was sworn in, you guys. So Dawn Daniels was who this weirdo in my chat said that, oh no, Dawn Daniels took that paid internship fellowship for 20 hours a week and split it with this other woman. I think her name was Victoria, and she actually worked in the administration of Wazoo, the person that they mentioned. And I was like, no, I know who Dawn Daniels is. That wouldn't work for her to be doing what she does at Wazoo and then take a half-time paid fellowship position over at Pullman. I was like, that's crap. I was arguing with the person in my chat who acted like she was there and that she knew people. I think that the person in the chat had a female profile name. It could have been anybody, but why were they being so specific? Victoria, I think, was the name of the other person that they tried to say split this position. But also, a paid internship fellowship is probably not a 40-hour-a-week position. It's probably more like a 20-hour-a-week position. So Dawn Daniels had been a sergeant when that entire administrative staff of Wazoo was forced out because of their mishandling of the Matthew Kurt case. When they were forced out, she held down the fort until Chief Jenkins resigned at Pullman PD and came over to be the police chief of Wazoo, which is also in Pullman. And then Matthew Kurt, the sergeant who created the problem that got everybody resigned, was forced to resign on November 4th, a mere 9 days before this horrible slaughter happened. And I just think there's so much going on over there in Moscow. And not to mention how it could tie in with that whole Doug Wilson church. What is the F is it? The highly conservative Christian nationalists, that church that Doug Wilson is like the lead pastor of, and he's over there in Moscow, and then he's got a branch in Tennessee, which is where Butthead Keg's Breath hooked up with him in that church. And he was the one that Keg's Breath was quoting last week publicly, or 2 weeks ago, about basically how women shouldn't vote. Like, these people are so Handmaid's Tale. So there's going to be a Handmaid's Tale protest, I think. A bunch of people are going to be dressing up as Handmaid's Tale. Is it coming up on September 3rd, or is it coming up in November? I want to say it's September 3rd, because that's the day that Congress is back from their extended vacation. That's the day that handfuls of Little E survivors are scheduled to testify about their victimization. Some weird sounds going on, like a lot of bass. I don't know. Somebody's driving by with a lot of bass. I live in a really quiet neighborhood, so that would be weird. There's noise ordinances around here, and I'm married to the fuzz, so that wouldn't, that would be highly unusual. I don't know what that was. Maybe it was my own kids, right? Maybe my kid stopped by the house, my 18-year-old, and he's playing bass. Hey, I'm on live. Okay. Love you. Bye. Okay. Sorry about that. Agree. I haven't gotten around to watching The Handmaid's Tale yet, but must soon. I can't watch it, Helby. I mean, I read the book way back in the late 80s. There's that noise again. Anyway, I read the book and saw the movie when Natasha Richardson starred in the movie that probably came out in around 1990. Let's see what year it was. Both the book and the movie were awful, but I would recommend them based on just education and knowledge, but absolutely horrible. But the television series, I have tried to force myself to watch it, and I just can't. I really can't. I know a lot of people enjoyed it, and honestly, my husband watches it. I don't think he's watched the entire thing. It's a lot to watch. I think there's a lot of seasons. It was super popular. Let's see what year the Handmaid's Tale movie was. What year did Natasha Richardson star in The Handmaid's Tale? Excuse me. 1990. Yes, it was 1990. And didn't she... I know she died in a skiing accident. Was it in Tahoe? Let's see. It's not working. Where was Natasha Richardson's skiing accident? No, it was not. It was in Canada. was March 16th, 2009. So I mentioned earlier that I was going to say something more about Melania's birthday. So Melania's birthday last year, 2024, I think was the same day as that Chinese shipping container took out that bridge in Baltimore. Right? Let's see. Let's double check. It's always good to double check. Chinese ship crashed into Baltimore Bridge. Yeah, March 26th of 2024. Wait a second. Am I confused? When is Melania's birthday? Her birthday might be April 26th. Melania Trump's birthday. Yeah, her birthday's a month later. Oh, I'm so glad that I realized that, because I've been aligning those two being the same day. The day that ship crashed into the bridge in Baltimore. So I was wrong about that. But what did happen this year on March 26th, or sorry, April 26th, once I crossed the wires, it's hard to uncross them. That was the day that she, or somebody that might have been a body double, in my opinion, allegedly, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly, Trumpster Fire went to the Vatican for the Pope's funeral. That was her 55th birthday this year, April 26th. So 2 days prior to that, Virginia Giuffre passed away, they think, on the 24th of April, but she wasn't discovered until the 25th. So it just occurred to me today that it could be that Virginia Giuffre might have had some knowledge about Melania and little E that Melania found very damning. Like, maybe Melania wanted her silenced. I mean, I figured that Trumpster Fire wanted her silenced, that Prince Andrew and the royals wanted her silenced, that Ghislaine wanted her silenced. And it's my opinion that she was silenced. I have stated again and again that it doesn't make sense to me that, having lived such a challenging life and having survived and overcome so much challenge, that she would have done that at that time. You know, the stressors that are alleged is the divorce. And yeah, divorce can be stressful, but also it can be a relief for somebody. You know, they feel like they're getting a new lease on life. So the fact that so many of the circumstances around her passing away are extremely parallel, if not almost exactly identical, to RFK Jr.'s estranged wife, Mary Richardson, who also passed away alone on a ranch in 2012, towards the end of a long, litigious, contentious divorce proceeding with custody issues dragging it out. So Virginia's circumstance was extremely similar with the divorce, with the custody battles, with a ranch and being by herself. And yeah. It's also highly suspicious how RFK Jr. cozied up to the Trumpster Fire when he was, like J.D. Vance, one of these like never Trumpers and anti-Trumpers. And then when he threw in the towel on his candidacy I think it was last August, and that his running mate was that woman that had cheated on her husband with Elon Musk. I mean, like I said, these people just have the weirdest, most twisted histories and paths, and long histories of crossing paths with each other and with family members and with the backstabbing. And, it just boggles my mind how some of these things don't get looked at. They don't get identified. For instance, the whole thing with Kimberly Guilfoyle, Trumpster Fire Jr.'s ex-fiance of 5 years, how she was or is Gavin Newsom's ex-wife of 5 or 6 years. And obviously there's a huge beef with Gavin Newsom and the Trumpster Fire that's way bigger than just politics, way bigger. Not to mention that Trump ran for, or tried to run for, governor of New York in 2013. So he's going to be very jealous of somebody who's governor of not just like the most populated state in our country, probably the most populated state in our country. I'd have to double check that. But also the fourth strongest economic power in the world. California is the fourth strongest economic power in the world. That's crazy. So the fact that Donnie failed, and another failure of Don's that has just kind of hit me in a new way today, is when he was virtually voted out of office in 2020. That's why he can't swallow that pill, because that was a massive rejection. He was the incumbent president and he was kicked out by the election. But I also stand by my belief that there was cheating in the 2016 election, in the 2020 election, and in the 2024 election. And so because of the cheating on his behalf, he doesn't understand how the cheating was not successful. That's my opinion about that whole matter. Let's see. You haven't? Okay, one sec. I haven't got around to watching The Handmaid's Tale yet, but must soon. Yeah, like I said, I can't stomach the television series, the Hulu series, but it was extremely popular. A lot of people got a lot out of it, I guess. The book was really popular. The movie was really popular. And as torturous as they both are, I do think that they are of extreme value, especially right now with this whole Project 2025 in our faces. I mean, there's a lot. It's very high stakes right now. And I think that people, not only in our country, but probably around the world, Helby. I know there's been protests around the world because this horrible situation impacts other countries as well as our own. So I think that we all need to do what we can to speak our truth and fight for our rights. Yes, think there are 6 seasons. A friend has watched it and said it was very dark. Yeah, I've tried to watch parts of the first season. Like I started with the first episode. I don't even know if I got through the first episode. I might have gotten like into the second one or maybe into the third one, but I don't think so. I'm not even 100% sure I got past the first one. Like I definitely didn't finish it all in one sitting. I couldn't take it anymore. It's really dark. It's really dark. And since I already understood the gist of it, I didn't feel the need to torture myself like that. Not when there's puppies that can be played with, right? Let's see what else I got in my notes before wrapping up. We're just hitting an hour. I wanted to say about Ghislaine and her 9 hours of testimony with Todd Blanche, and in the 3 hours that have been shared publicly, that have been dissected publicly, she said, this is pretty much a direct quote, that that Trumpster Fire was always a perfect gentleman around her, and that she liked him. She always liked him, but she said it in her soft, airy voice. And I would venture to argue that even people who hold Trumpster Fire in high regard would not ever describe him as a perfect gentleman, if they're being honest. So she also said that Clinton never went to Little E Island, which is hilarious, since Trumpster Fire has said specifically he's been there, I think, dozens of times. I think 26, 28 times is what Donnie claimed about Clinton. But also, all of this news going on with the I can't say his name right, Mr. Garcia, the guy who was taken into custody by ICE in Maryland and then deported to the El Salvador prison. And then he's come back in the last few days. He got to go home, and now he's rearrested, and they're saying that they're going to send him to some other horrible place. If he doesn't confess to, I think they're accusing him of not just human transporting, but underage, which is ironic, since that is apparently exactly what dear Donnie more than likely was a party to, with his modeling agency and with his Little E ties and all that, transporting people underage, not just transporting, but specifically for X. Again, always the accusations of confession. I mean, it's astonishing, isn't it? It's absolutely astonishing. Fred's here. Woohoo! Back from physical therapy. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming in and saying hi. So yeah, projection and confession is, I think, so much of what not just Trumpster Fire, but pretty much all gaslighters do. And man, is he like the most extreme megalomaniac gaslighter you've ever seen in your life. It's just mind-boggling. It's so mind-boggling to me. Did you guys hear that Alex Acosta is scheduled to be interviewed? I don't think it's like actual testimony, but he got scheduled to be interviewed in 3.5 weeks from now. This was just yesterday. Alex Acosta is scheduled now for September 19th to discuss what the F happened in that sweetheart deal in 2008 with Little E. So at least there's that. I mean, I'm not going to have high hopes of it, but at least there's that. That's huge. Absolutely huge. I was so excited. I could hardly believe it. So I kind of think that our simple-minded presidente, who, loves to just say that those are good people, those are bad people, those are mean people, those are nice people, those people like me, those people don't like me, I like those people, I don't like those people, like so black and white and just so like childish. Like, to hear anybody talk like that is pretty weird, but especially a president, and especially around politics and global affairs. It's all about, his relationship with Vladdy or Kim Jong-un. Well, he likes me, I like him, we have a good relationship. Well, our relationship It's like, yeah, I mean, relationships are important, but it's truly effing bizarre. Is it not? Is it just me? Um, and it's also just the whole like black and white thinking, the good and the bad, the good and the evil. People either walk on water or they can go straight to hell. It's one of those two. It's that personality disordered distortion of complete extremes. Like you're either for this person or against this person. You couldn't possibly just be like neutral about a person, right? I mean, when has there ever been somebody in a political office that was so demanding of the spotlight and of attention? And he has the spotlight, he has the attention, and it's backfiring on him. It's not going well, but careful what you ask for, you just might get it. I kind of think that his defense, if it comes to that, if he ends up getting busted with these testimonies and these e-files, if that's a big if, I know, pie in the sky pipe dream, if he does get busted, that he's going to pull a Michael Jeffries act. Michael Jeffries is another one of these people like Brunel, like Little E, who was the owner of Abercrombie and Fitch, who allegedly did all this kind of transporting and ex abuse with all their Abercrombie and Fitch models and employees. And he was arrested in October, so almost a whole year ago, 2024, finally arrested after like 10 years of it being in the works. And then he was declared incompetent to stand trial. So I think, in my opinion, that that's exactly where Trumpster Fire and people around him are guiding his defense. Like, just let him fall apart and be crazy on the public platform so that it's an easy foundation to build to get to, brain is too much of a jello mold to go through any kind of litigation. It's basically a get out of jail free pass, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I mean, he's 79. He's been doing, I think, harm to people allegedly through his assaults, through his gangsta type of lifestyle, probably since he was a kid. I mean, according to his niece, Mary Trump, and she seems like a trustworthy source to me, he did all this kind of stuff even in elementary school, let alone prep school. He was a schoolyard bully, and that's what he is. That's all he is. The Arrested Development, and I mean, he really seems like he has Arrested Development at just about the age of 13. I don't know exactly what was going on with his mom's health, but I know that she fell very ill, very ill. Let's see what the AI says. Donald Trump's mother's health. Let's see what AI says. So she died at age 88 and during a lifetime of health challenges. In 1944, she had a miscarriage and was warned against. Oh, that's interesting, because he was born after that, wasn't he? What year did I say he was born in? He was born June 14th of 1946. Yeah, because he's 79 right now. So in 1944, she had a miscarriage. So first I did not realize this. Okay. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Marianne, and then Frederick, and then Elizabeth, and then the miscarriage, and then Donald, and then Robert. Interesting. That is really wild. So I'm glad I looked that up. This is interesting. Trump claimed in 2011 that his father passed away at age 94 and his mother at 90. In reality, his father was 93 and his mother was 88. It's kind of odd. So maybe it took a year or two for it to sink in. His father, a real estate developer, passed away with Alzheimer's at age 93 in 1998. Mental state began deteriorating before his hip replacement in 91. During that hospitalization, he had clear sundowning. By contrast, in connection with his father's will, Trump testified in a deposition that his father had been as sharp as a tack until just before he passed away. Excuse me. Trumpster Fryer contradicted his testimony in 2019 by saying that his father's, quote, last few years he developed, we probably think it was Alzheimer's, end quote. And it has a comment here that Trumpster Fryer had ample motivation to lie about the amount of time that his father had Alzheimer's disease. He stood to inherit more money from a late life contested will of his father's if he could prove his father was mentally intact when he signed it. His father had a tumor removed from his neck near his ear in 1989. Wait. Oh, so his father's dad passed away when his father was 12. Let me see. Trump's father was 6'1", solidly built and vain about his appearance. He wore a wig and colored his hair starting in the early 90s, often resulting in a magenta color. If Mary Trump describes Trump's father as a high-functioning sociopath, actually, it's not if, that's something else. I don't know what that one F is, but it says Mary Trump describes Trump's father as a high-functioning sociopath. This Trump was left fatherless at age 12 when his father, previously an owner of restaurants and brothels, passed away in 1918. Brothels? What? How did I not know that? Brothels? Anna Bees, I was just getting ready to sign off, my dear. You've caught me right at the tail end today and yesterday. Yeah, Fred was here for a minute. Did he have to step out, or is he still here? And Helby asked Fred, hope physical therapy went okay, question mark. Anna says, hi, everyone. I'm driving. Oh, yeah. So thanks for saying hi, and we'll let you keep driving. Yeah. Helby didn't know that either about the freaking brothels. That is wild, is it not? I mean, again, with the freaking Handmaid's Tale, we're not going back to that. We are not going back to that. No way, Jose. Let's see, we're at an hour and 20 minutes. It's just about 4 o'clock almost. Let's see what else I have in my notes here before winding down. I don't like to sign off when I have my old faithfuls coming in right at the tail end. But unless you guys have something to talk about, I don't want to be like hanging on to the live stream if there's nothing of substance to offer my viewers. Oh, Anna Bees and Fred, were you here when I mentioned a minute ago about Alex ACOSTA? I think you were here, Fred. But Anna probably wasn't. Alex Acosta got scheduled yesterday for an interview on September 19th to answer questions about that effing deal of the century in Florida when he was the attorney general for Florida with little E in 2008. Just yesterday, they scheduled him out for September 19th. It's not a subpoena. It's not a deposition. It's not testimony. It's just a voluntary interview. But that's awesome. I couldn't believe it. When I saw this on YouTube last night, I was like, wait, what? I was like asking artificial intelligence all these questions, like, for real? For real? I was like, when did it get scheduled? It was just scheduled yesterday for what, 3.5 weeks from now? So what I have written down here that I haven't shared yet, and I really should, because I mean, it's kind of hilarious, but I wrote it down because I was like, I just got to say that Trumpster Fire is effing bonkers. He is like Looney Tunes. He's so freaking off his rocker. The crap that comes out of his mouth, I can't even imagine what kinds of ideas and incoherent half sentences have come out of his mouth today. He is just getting more and more I don't know if it's Alzheimer's or dementia or what, but like I said, I feel like they're rolling out the foundation to say his brain is mush. We cannot possibly depose him or put him through any trial or anything. I mean, as president, he already has enough protection for that. But being president doesn't protect him from crimes that he committed a long time ago. So I'm going to go back to my theory that he might have first slept with Melania when she was underage. I haven't found the solid evidence to support that theory, but that is what my intuition tells me, with all of the hypersensitivity around how they met, when they met, what the affiliation was with little E and Ghislaine, sorry. In the event that Melania started modeling when she was 5 years old, according to the research and the information that I found, she started modeling at 5 years old. So she was born in about 1971. She would have started modeling in about 76. And she became a well-paid, well-known model by the time she was 16. However, the internet is kind of scrubbed to make it look like she all of a sudden became a model at 16, that she started modeling at 16. She did not. She started modeling when she was 5. Her mother was some kind of like clothing designer. So that makes a little bit of sense. But being from the country that she's from, Slovenia, I think, and being in that world of modeling as a child, I mean, these kids get exploited. They get transported. And nobody gets super famous overnight modeling. I mean, that's just not how it happens. She got super famous overnight, allegedly at 16. But it's my belief that the information that I have found, and I'll put a link in the description to that information, that she started modeling at age 5. It makes perfect sense. So if she was a famous model by the time she was 16, and little E and little T had all their modeling agencies and whatever you want to call them, transporting situations, how would they have not noticed her? I mean, she was gorgeous. She was tall. That was their thing. That was, like I said yesterday, the drug of choice was young teenagers, underage, right? the enigma, the may every day hold a lovely secret, a happy secret. You and I were a lot alike. Enigmas don't age. All that crap in that freaking birthday letter that Trumpster Fire wrote to Jeffrey. Also, his hypersensitivity about denying everything about it from the ground up. I've said this before. He could have just admitted, like, yeah, I wrote that card. What of it? It's locker room talk. Like his whole crap with the grabbing by the Kit Kat BS. Oh, he's so gross. He's so gross, especially because the grabbing by the Kit Kat is exactly what he effing did to E. Jean Carroll in the dressing room at Bergdorf and Goodman, I think was the name of the department store. And he was sued for that. He lost, I think, a $5 million lawsuit for the assault, and then another 80 some million dollars for defamation. And I'm not sure. E. Jean Carroll had been married prior to the assault, and I think she was already divorced by the time the assault happened. I think I heard her say in one of the interviews that she has been asexual ever since that incident in that dressing room. And if anybody else has heard that or can confirm or deny that, I am looking for confirmation or denial of that, because that just blew my mind. Like that really is a severe incident to shape somebody's life and identity around. I know she saved the dress that has his DNA on it, right? And then I don't think she mentioned anything about it until she wrote it in her book that, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's so much to learn from that woman. She's amazing. E. Jean Carroll. Let's see, where are we? Message redacted, Annabes. I always chuckle with the word slept with. If they just slept, it would be no issue. Yeah, that's cute. I like to say roll in the hay, right? Kind of old school. Is that like a Midwest thing? Got in the sack. Oh, this is interesting. Let's discuss, and then we'll wrap this up. This is crazy. You know how Trump Tower, Ivanka's lavender bedroom, that she had that weird interview where she's in the bedroom and she has that horrible look on her face when she's looking at the bed. And then she talks about being on the 68th floor, looking out the window when she changes subject and pivots. And also Trumpster Fire's VP that reported about him telling her that he was going to use that helicopter crash where 3 of his corporate executives lost their lives, that he was going to use that for his own personal gain, using it as publicity by lying and saying that he was almost on that flight with them. So that VP had her office on the 68th floor. Guess what I just found out yesterday? Did you know that Trump Tower does not have 68 floors? They do call that floor the 68th floor, but I think it goes from 57 to 68. Let me see. What does AI have to say about this one? How many floors does the Trump Tower have in New York City? 58. Okay. Trump Tower is a 58 mixed-use condominium skyscraper, 5th Avenue, Midtown Manhattan. What floor of Trump Tower does Trump live on? So he lives in a triplex penthouse on floors 56, 57, and 58. And so this is just classic. Okay, this is an article from Business Insider. Trump Tower is actually 10 floors shorter than Donald Trump says it is. Just like he's about 3 inches shorter than he says he is. He's not 6'3". When he's standing next to somebody who's like 6'3", or I don't even know if Gavin Newsom is 6'3", but he towers over him. And when he's standing next to somebody who's like 6 feet, they're a little taller than him. I think Vance is like 6'1". I think Hegseth is 6 feet. They're both taller than Donnie. And I mean, people do shrink as they get older, but I don't think 3 inches. Nah. So yeah, I did not know about. So this week has an article that's titled 10 floors are missing from the Trump Tower. The Trump Organization claims that Manhattan's Trump Tower where did that go? I was just reading that and it disappeared. The Trump Tower rises 68 stories over Fifth Avenue, although databases show different. Total floors, 58. Donald Trump's math takes his towers to greater heights. Yeah, I call it fuzzy math. Did you guys know that? That is so wild. I had no idea. But, you know, I'm sure he does the same thing with the size of his junk, right? I'm sorry, I had to say it. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. Is that so wild? Yeah. So on that note, I was going to sign off. 58 floors. We'll just call it 68. We won't mention anything about the 10 floors skipped. I mean, he's just such a lying sack of shit. Like, does he not realize how he's got no credibility? Zero, zilch, none, nada. The blacks and browns stole his floors. Anna Bees, you are too funny. Fred says, later, everyone, I need to water my outside plants. Yeah, I finally watered my inside plants today. I'd been meaning to do it forever. So everybody water your plants. Oh, all right, you guys, I'm just going to sign off quickly, and I will see you tomorrow. Love and light. Have a really good afternoon. Make sure you eat your protein, eat your veggies, drink your water, and never stop fighting for the truth and justice. Thanks so much for watching.